Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. And for my third week of experimenting with black beads, I am going to show you how to make these gorgeous earrings. Just look, I'm just going to take one of them. Just look at that kind of galaxy, universe kind of colouring in it. And then I've also done it with this colour, mainly because it's my favourite colour, but I also wanted to show you that you can still use the same technique but with other colours, although if I'm perfectly honest, I do think the black works best. Right, what do you need to make them? Okay, so before we go any further, I have got a competition for you, and you could win a set of these earrings. You could win either the black set or the aqua set, but all you have to do in order to win a set of these earrings is to like the video and leave a comment in the box below to let me know whether you would like to win a black set or an aqua set. And everybody that leaves a comment in the box below will get given a number, and then at the closing day I will use a random number generator, and whoever's number matches it will win a set of these earrings. And it is open to anybody in the world. I ship to anywhere, so anybody can enter. There's no limits, and if you want you can enter more than once. That's not a problem, but you know, it would be lovely if these went to a really good home who are going to enjoy wearing them, or if you have somebody in mind that you think would like them, then feel free to enter below. Okay, let's get back to the video. Okay, so what are you going to need in order to make these earrings? Well, the first thing that you're going to need is some paper. So I will leave this here so that you can write those measurements down if you need them. So you're going to need 2 strips of paper, 1 for each earring. Obviously I'm doing mismatched because I need to make the pairs of my earrings. So that's your first thing that you're going to need. The second thing that you're going to need is, I'm using a quilling tool. I will leave a link to where you can get these in the box, in the description box below. You're also going to need some, I've chosen to use plastic stud earrings, which you get as a back, and then you also get as the little bit that goes on them. You're also going to need some glue in order to make your like beady back with. You're also going to need some UV resin, and I've decanted mine into one of these bottles. Again, I'll leave links in the description as to where you can get these bottles, because I know people always ask where you can get the things that I use. I'm going to use a couple of cocktail sticks. I'm also going to use one of these little nail files, and I'll show you what I'm going to need that for. And then you're going to need some of these Mylar flakes. Now you can normally get these from anywhere that sells, and I will just show you what they look like inside. And it's very similar to using gold flakes, which is what we've used previously, in that you don't want to breathe in and you don't want to breathe out or sneeze or cough around them, because they are uber fly away. But just look at those gorgeous colours. So I've got that one, and I've got this one, which is more of a pink and green, so you can see how they are like a dichroic colouring, where you can see 2 different colours. You're also going to need a UV light, and I find this small little one that is super portable really handy, because you can pick it up and take it to your beads rather than having to try and carry your beads over to where your light is. So I've just got this really small compact, works wonders. I think it was like $7.99 on Amazon. And I think that is about it. So let's get started. Okay, so I've cleared the decks, and what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to start and roll my black bead. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, let's just move a few bits out of the way, make it a bit clearer. I'm going to pop it onto my quilling tool, And then I'm going to move my quilling tool right to the end, just so that it's just in. And I also want it to be lined up with this edge, with the very end of the quilling tool, because as I roll, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye on this end, because we want to be rolling a flat. I'll pull that little bit off in a minute. We want to be rolling a flat disc, and it's much easier to roll a flat disc as you go than it is to try and squash it flat afterwards. You can do, but it's much easier to kind of roll it as you go. So take your time, just rolling, rolling, rolling. Again, using my finger here to get a nice flat end. If you're not happy with any of it, just unroll it, keep rolling. Now you could make these whatever size you want. So although I've given you some sizes, if you wanted to make them narrower, you could do. If you wanted to make them thicker, smaller, you could do. Okay, so I'm now at the end, and what I want to do is I want to do two things. One of them, I can just flatten this out a little bit, but that's not one of them I meant. But what you can do now is just hold your bead, and I'm going to give it some twists. And what this is going to do is this is going to tighten up all of your layers. So if I try and show you this way around, I'm just twisting it, and it's going to make a more compact bead for you. So when we've rolled it, it's not been that compact, but now where I've twisted it, it is compact. Now, right at the very beginning, I mentioned to you about a nail file. And what I'm going to do with that nail file is I'm going to take it and I'm going to rub it along the end of my bead. And this was a trick that I saw on DIY All Things. And I'm going to leave a link to their YouTube channel in the description box below, because she had some brilliant videos, and this was a tip that she showed, and it just thins out that end of your bead so that when you then roll it up, you haven't got such a bulky end. So now I've done that. I probably should have done that beforehand, but so what I'll do is I'm going to continue rolling my bead now until I've got about 1 centimetre or 1 inch-ish, roughly. You don't need lots. And I'm going to apply some glue. And these needle nose bottles are brilliant because not only do they put the glue on, but you can use them to distribute the glue evenly. So I'm just going to distribute some glue evenly and continue to roll like so. And what you want is you want that end to definitely be sticking down, like so. And then what you can do is you can just take your bead off, and you might need to give it a little wriggle. I'm going to pull that end off, as I mentioned earlier. And then you can put your bead down, and what I sometimes like to do is just use my quilling tool just to roll my bead, just to make it nice and super flat. So there we go. There is our first bead. So what we're going to need now is we're going to need to attach our backs to our beads, because once they're attached, they are going to be much easier to handle. So I've got my UV resin. I need to hold my bead, and I'm going to want to apply a thin layer. Now, because we're using quite a porous surface, what you'll see is that the UV resin will start to sink into the paper. So that's not a problem, because this literally is a super thin layer. And then I'll get my earring back. Now you can decide where you would like your earring back to go. And this is literally just a layer, just in order to attach, or to initially attach, our earring back. Now you can see on the black one that the paper has already started to absorb some of the UV resin, and that's fine, that's not a problem. We kind of want it to, because that way it starts to make that bead, that paper bead, nice and firm. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cap back on my UV resin, and then I'm moving it right out the way. And this is where having one of these portable, I'm just going to zoom out for you. There we go. This is where having one of these portable UV resin lamps comes in handy, because I can now just move this over here. So this will go in for a minute to cook, and I will come back when it's done. Okay, so that's my first layer done, and what you'll see is that this is now solid. But what I want to do is I want to apply a second layer. So again, I'll just scroll in so that we're a little bit closer. I'm going to go and get my UV resin, and I want to apply a second layer. Now, because we've now put our bead on, our earring back on, we can now hold on to this a little bit better. So this layer, I am going to go for a slightly thicker layer, because I want to make sure that my earring back is absolutely definitely on, and also that all my paper is definitely covered in a nice layer of UV resin, because initially some of it was absorbed. Now what I've made here is just a really quick stand. You don't need to buy anything fancy, it's just 3 layers of corrugated cardboard that I have just stuck some holes in. And what I can now do is turn my earrings over, pop them in the holes, and now we've got a nice little handy stand with which to now do the next phase of our earrings. So really super easy. And the next bit is where I'm going to glaze around the outside, or UV resin should I say, the outside of the earrings. So it is much easier now. We have got some cardboard that we can now move the cardboard. We're back, and now we are ready to have some fun with our Mylar flake. Okay, so I've taken the lids off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a very thin layer of UV resin to both of my earrings, like we did in that first one when we attached the backs. So just want a thin layer, because this is how we're going to put our flakes on. Like so. Put the lid on. And then this is where I'm going to use my cocktail stick, because what we want to do is to try and pick up some of these flakes. Now we don't want loads of it. We almost just kind of want like a big flake or some flakes. And what it's sometimes handy to do is to just dip it in a little bit of water. There we go, I've got a flake. And we'll add it on. And there's one. You can see how pretty they are, but also how completely and utterly fly away they are. So if you dip your cocktail stick in a little bit of water, the flakes then will stick to the cocktail stick. So you can build up some layers. You can choose how much you want. Now that to me is just a little bit big. But you can see how that UV resin has really sunk in. And then what I find quite useful to do, excuse my hand, but I find it quite useful to then go in and gather up some of the flakes that are from the top of here and pop those on, because then we're just adding some of the little flakes. Now what you want to try and do is keep them away from the edge. You don't want them to be spilling over onto the edge, because we're going to create a nice dome in a bit with our UV resin. And you don't want any to be spilling over onto the edge. You want to kind of create an illusion of a beautiful gemstone. So this is where you can kind of really play with it and make a decision as to how much you want, what colours you want. You might choose to go for just one colour. I'm going to pop that on there. I've chosen to use 2 colours. Just trying to grab some flakes and pop them on. But again, remember, they are super, 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 super flyaway. So, but what you do still want is you do still want some of the background colour to still show through, because that's really going to help these flakes to just pop. So I think that's probably enough. And what I want to do is I just want to make sure that my edges don't have any flakes on. And then I'm going to bring my UV resin back, and I'm going to now apply a much thicker layer. And I'm just going to start to apply some of it. Now, squish it to the edge. There is that kind of sweet spot between you applying too much resin and it spills over the side, and not enough resin, and then you don't get a nice dome. So I'm going to leave that one as is, and I might come back to it in a second and add a little bit more. I'm going to add some to this. You also want to make sure that you're not capturing any air bubbles in it, and this is where UV resin is almost easier to do than it is to do with normal resin, in that it's a little bit more controllable. Now what I'm going to try and do is bring my camera down so that you can see the angle and you can see how much of a kind of dome I have created. So if I just lock my camera there, you can hopefully see the dome that I've created. So I want to make my dome just a little bit bigger, so I'm going to apply a little bit more resin, making sure you can all see a little bit more. You don't want it to be too much that you spill over. I think that might be enough. And then what I'll do is I'll pop my light under, and at this angle you can see it curing. Okay, so here we are. The beads are all finished and they have been turned into earrings. They're all glossy and lovely. And this is the black set. So I've added the backs to them, so you can see that they have the silicone backs on them, really comfortable. And you can see that they are beautiful, like galaxies. I think they look like looking into sort of like a black hole or something within the galaxy. Just beautiful. And then this is the aqua pair, which I love the aqua, but I'm not sure I like it. But I think I like the finish of the black ones myself. But you know me, I love my turquoises and my aquas, so I couldn't resist. But I just wanted to kind of show that you can do it on something else. But I think the effect just kind of looks a little better on the black myself. But let me know which one is your favourite, because you could win one of these pairs. And all you need to do, just to remind you, all you need to do is like the video and leave a note in the comment box that lets me know which pair you would like to win, and you will be given a number, and then I will do a random generator, and one of you lucky people will win a pair of these earrings. Okay, that's it for this week. I will speak to you next week when I will have the last in the series of black beads that we are exploring, and I've got another good video for you next week. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. That would also be really helpful to me, and I will speak to you soon. See you later.